Hey everyone, and welcome back. Tonight we're going to do some quick work with portraiture in Artrage 5 and just talk about process. Thinking about that, I was looking at my son trying to learn to throw a frisbee just 2 days ago, and I wanted to show you some clips of that. Here he is developing his own unique style to throwing a frisbee. Here the no look just gets me every time. I watch that video like 1,000 times, and there it is. He made it work. A totally unique approach, but there it goes, and he threw it an incredible distance for his little body. So I just thought about that when I was thinking about this video this week, and how we each have a unique way of going about our work. And sometimes it's pretty haphazard, and sometimes, I've gone out painting with professional artists and I say, well, what do you do first? What do you do last? And they don't know. They just sort of feel it out and wing it every time. But in cases like that, I always feel like the artists experience a greater than necessary anxiety about if it's going to work out or what they're doing, and they just sort of fumble their way through it, which is cool to trust your intuition after you develop a lot of time behind the canvas. But I think that we can make our lives a lot easier, and I just wanted to prescribe a real simple approach, which you're familiar with if you've ever watched me work before, which is you start with some basic line work called mapping, and then you get busy just blocking in all the colors local to the area, local color in edge to edge, top to bottom. Make sure the whole canvas is covered, and then after that you can get into detail and nuance and stuff like that. And when you're doing your color blocking, start with your dark values and work your way up towards your lightest values, and establish all those color value relationships early on. With that, I think let's take a deeper step into that process. Okay, so we have a basic 3-step thing where we go mapping, blocking, and then detail work or finishing work. But within that, I think there's an important thing, which is to let go of all outcomes, is to paint as though all you're doing is exploring each stroke. You're just present in each stroke, so that, following my mentor's advice, we look 3 times, think about it twice, make 1 stroke. And what we're looking at is a shape and value of a color. We're trying to just capture that one thing. A lot of times, I think, especially with younger painters, and I'm sure at any age it can be this way, our society is just we're just saturated with performance and demands to perform and be and exceed and excel. And I see, especially with young people, there's this huge weight, this expectation upon them that is almost crippling, that says, that they have to do and be so much at all times. Especially with the high achieving ones, it's even more crippling. So I try to dispel as much anxiety as possible. I try to just wash it away, so that when we come to the canvas, we have a very, very simple job every step of the way. And that job is always to look at the shape and value of a color. And if we can capture that shape and value, put it roughly where it belongs on the canvas, and then get the next one, and the next one, and the next one with as economical use of brushwork as possible, we're going to get ourselves into a position that we're within striking distance of something that's pretty good, something that's pretty interesting, without having ever had to dabble into the intricacies and nuance of the technical details or anything like that. So we see ourselves in this part of the painting at that space right now, and there's mistakes, like the nose, for example, is in the wrong place, so I'm just going to use the selection tool, grab it, move it, and repaint the gap. No stress. We're doing digital, we have the flexibility we need to do things like that. But the whole process, using a big brush, painting fast, looking just for big shapes and big shape relationships, trying to capture accurate values, is going to get you within striking distance of a very nice painting. And I think the thing that's best about it, the coolest thing about it, is you never, ever, ever have to worry about making it pretty, making a good painting. You never have to think about really anything. All you're thinking about is, what is that shape? What is that value? How can I put it on the canvas as economically as possible? And you do that until the canvas is covered edge to edge, top to bottom. And then at that point, the real painting begins. And that's where you can start playing with edges, playing with values, playing with texture, emphasizing things, de-emphasizing things, pushing and pulling. I think that's really the fun part. And the whole beginning part of the canvas, or of the painting, where you get all the way through to the canvas covered, I would say that first 75% of the painting is almost like mindless. You just turn off your mind, turn on your eyes to the high alert, just searching and grabbing after color and value. And then once that's done, then you get to play with style and nuance and texture and emphasis and stuff. And that's what I'm doing here. You can see I grabbed a different brush. I'm sharing some brush heads with my friend Kevin, who's made about 50 different custom brushes using the brush designer in Artrage, and it is awesome. And I'll have to find a way to get him on the show, get him a video. We can do kind of like a 2-person YouTube video, and he can show you what he did to make all these brushes, but they're really good. And maybe we can figure out a way to get some of those online. But that's all I'm doing here, is taking a little bit more of a textural brush, almost like a little bit like a dry brush or bristle, stiffer bristle brush, and giving it just a little bit more texture. And all that is just up to individual taste, so no right or wrong way to do that. When it comes to portraiture, my strategy or my advice to you is definitely familiarize yourself with the mathematical proportions of the human face. Know that stuff. It'll be a good sort of like safety check if you get into trouble. But more than anything, trust your eye to do the work of just looking closely at each shape and each value, capturing each one after the other, until you kind of have the human head laid out, all the values in all the right places, all the color temperature in all kind of the right places, and then you can go into refinement. And if you have stuff that's a little squirrely or a little bit off, you can always use that selection tool and start grabbing and pulling stuff around. So that's that. Just a little bit of a process video, hopefully fun to watch. Wanted to keep this one short as we're just getting back into it, and hope you guys are doing really, really well. Take care.